Welcome back, everyone. This time is for UFC Fight Night, Sandhagen vs. Font. There's a prelim card with 6 fights, and the first fight takes place in the men's flyweight division as Ode Osborne takes on Asu Almabayev. Now, Asu Almabayev is making his debut in the UFC. He's relatively unknown. He fought at Brave, something like that. He's only been stopped once. Yet, as I always say, it's great to start in the UFC with a win, so I'm gonna pick him to get the W by submission in round 2 maybe, but it's tough to call. Ode Osborne is a battle tested in the UFC, so he isn't going to go down like that. Next, we actually stay in the men's flyweight division as 13th ranked Cody Durden takes on Jake Hadley. For this one, I know by name the two fighters, yet I haven't watched their fights recently. I think Cody Durden lost his last fight. No, he actually won back in April. As for Jake Hadley, I think he lost his last fight. I'm not sure. No, he actually won as well. So they both won. So maybe for this one, it's a top 15 rank. Because Cody Durden is 13th, so maybe a top 15 spot for this fight. And I'm gonna predict Cody Durden to get the win. Maybe he's gonna move up the rankings. How? 80 KO win maybe? We'll have to see. Next, we go to the men's featherweight division as Sean Woodson takes on Denis Buzukshka. I think Denis Buzukshka is making his debut in the UFC. Yeah, that's correct. He's making his debut in the UFC, so relatively unknown. Sean Woodson had some fights in the UFC. Yeah, he had some fights in the UFC. So for this one, I'm gonna pick him to get the win. Maybe by decision. We'll have to see. Next, in the welterweight division, we've got Jeremiah Wells taking on Colston Harris. For this one, Jeremiah Wells is the favorite in the betting odds. Yet, I have a feeling Colston Harris is going to get the win by a TKO. Maybe in the first round. He's not someone to be underestimated. Actually, he has 5 knockout, 5 submission, and 6 first round finishes. So pretty impressive. We'll have to see. Next, we've got Kyler Phillips taking on Raoni Barcelos, and this is in the men's bantamweight division. Now, I think Raoni Barcelos fought earlier this year, so I remember him, but Kyler Phillips, I have no idea who that is. I think he was on a kind of his last fight was a long time ago. Yeah, a year and a half ago. Kind of vacation here. Yet I'm gonna predict him to get the win. Speaking of Kyler Phillips, by decision. Next, we go back to the men's featherweight division as Billy Quarantillo takes on Damon Jackson. From memory, I think both fighters lost their last fight, so it's going to be interesting. Maybe a top 15 spot is also in the balance. And as Diamond Jackson has way more finishes, and especially submission finishes, I'm gonna predict him to get the win by submission in the third round. And that's it for the prelim card, meaning we now move on to the main card. And we start the first fight taking place at 155. We've got Ignacio Bahamondes taking on Ludovic Klein. I have no idea who Ludovic Klein is. He seems to have a pretty huge career, a lot of finishes. Yeah, actually. Wait, no. Yes. 88% finish rate. My bad. And Ignacio Bahamondes is known for having one of the most vicious but impressive knockout. So for this one, I'm still gonna predict Ignacio Bahamondes. He's a favorite in betting odds as well, but I feel like he can get a decision win for this fight. Next, we go to the light heavyweight division as Tanner Bowser takes on Alexa Gamur. I have no idea who that is. First time I see him in UFC Fight. Yeah, in his last fight. It's because his last fight was actually more than 2 years ago, so not surprising. There's a good finish rate. Tanner Bowser has been more active, so to me it's obvious that he's going to get the win by a TKO in the second round. Next, we go back to the men's featherweight division as Diego Lopez takes on Gavin Tucker. Okay, so I don't know Gavin Tucker, and once again, it's because he didn't fight since 2021. 2 years and a half almost. And Diego Lopez was on UFC 288 against Moslar Evloev. Yeah, that's correct. That was 288. So I'm going to predict Diego Lopez to get the win by a submission in the second round, even if there are no betting odds. Next, we go back to the light heavyweight division as 15th ranked Dustin Jacoby takes on Kennedy Nzechukwu. Now, Kennedy Nzechukwu has been on the radar as of lately. He's been putting some performances, knockouts and submission. I don't know how much he has finish rate. Oh, only knockouts. So only knockouts for Kennedy Nzechukwu. We'll have to see if that works against Dustin Jacoby, but I would not be surprised that Kennedy Nzechukwu won. Yet, out of the 11 knockout finishes that just Dustin Jacoby has, he also has 11 first round finishes. My bad. Maybe those two are connected, meaning he finishes his opponents very quickly, or he just loses. We'll have to see. For this one, I'm going to predict a decision win for Kennedy Nzechukwu to maybe claim a spot in the top 15 ranking. Maybe something like 15 or 14. We'll have to see. Next, we go to the women's strawweight division as 5th ranked Jessica Andrade takes on 10th ranked Tatiana Suarez. And this is the co-main event, by the way. This one is tough because Jessica Andrade is not someone to sleep on. You have to be very careful when you step up in the cage against her. And even though she lost, 2 fights in a row, that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean at all. She has a good record, even in the UFC. So yeah, better not sleep on her. On the other end, I don't know a lot about Tatiana Suarez. Only by name, actually. I saw a couple of fights from Jessica Andrade. But Tatiana Suarez is undefeated. So it's going to be interesting. Also, she has a actual win over not the current champion, a former champion in Carla Esparza. Yeah, so undefeated and a good finish rate. 2 knockouts, 5 submission. This one's tough to call, but I'm gonna predict a 3rd round submission for Tatiana Suarez to climb up the rankings and get closer to the belt. Next, in the main event, it was actually scheduled to be a bantamweight fight, but due to some weight issues, it's actually now a catchweight at 140, and it is 4th ranked Corey Sandhagen taking on 7th ranked Rob Font. For this one, Corey Sandhagen is the favorite, and Rob Font is, the underdog, and that for many reasons. Corey Sandhagen is actually a former interim bantamweight champion, and Rob Font is having issues cracking or staying in the top 5. Although he won against Yanez, he's been finished, or not finished, but lost several times, and did not really stay in the top 5 of the division. So for Corey Sandhagen to just being there and kind of a gatekeeper for this top 5, yeah, it seems logic to me that Corey Sandhagen is gonna win once again. How? Clearly not a submission win, but maybe a TKO win in the 4th round, if it is a 5-round fight. But normally it would be a 5-round fight because it's the main event. So yeah, 4th round TKO win for Corey Sandhagen, and maybe he's not going to climb the rankings, but maybe it's going to be a title contention or close to it, maybe for a interim title. I don't know, because this one is catchweight, so does it really going to count for the bantamweight rankings? We'll have to see. So yeah, 1st round TKO for Corey Sandhagen, and that's it for UFC Fight Night in Nashville. So I'll leave you there. Until next time, bye.